This is the Liberator. It's the world's first 3D printed firearm. And this is the only thing that could possibly be standing between you and a felony and federal prison time.
What you were about to watch was my first real crack at a YouTube video. The reception was beyond what I ever could have expected for the 2 weeks that I was allowed to be up. However, unfortunately, over my busy weekend, I got some very disappointing news that after over 40,000 views and maybe 100 or so comments, the video was removed for violating YouTube's policies, despite, to my knowledge, being well within them. So it was also a huge slap in the face that it came a day after our lovely overlords here in Colorado decided to sign a new weapons ban. So thanks for that. Despite all of my complaining, there was a lot of great conversation in the YouTube comments, a lot of genuine interest in more, a lot of genuine interest in the Second Amendment, a lot of very patriotic and enthusiastic individuals, to put it mildly. And as expected, a couple of haters. To those who were saying that me and my dog were going to be shot by the ATF, rude. Everything that I do is well within local and federal laws. I have people that I consult that are much smarter than me to ensure safety and compliance. My video was not meant to be legal advice or instructional in any way. It was just to talk about this peculiar law that I didn't even know existed, and I work in the gun industry and have for several years. Now onto the video. There's going to be a few little changes that I hope will appease the YouTube gods. I have a strong feeling that this video is not going to get the large reception that it got the first time. So if you want to like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff, I would really appreciate it. Whether you do or not, I'm still going to, and still am planning more content. I'm planning to do more videos. Despite what I say at the end of this video of it being my first one, it's not going to be. I already have other stuff in the works.
I'm not fucking leaving.
Well, I'll talk a little bit more about this gun and where this part goes in here, but most people would assume that this random piece of metal would be to mitigate recoil, and you would be partially correct. What if I told you that manufacturing a Liberator and not including this crucial component could land you in federal prison due to a federal law that you've probably never even heard of, even if you're a gun enthusiast like myself? Before we get into this, we need to go back to 2013. A law student named Cody Wilson, founder of a group called Defense Distributed, released something that set the internet in Washington, D.C. on fire. It was called the Liberator.
Look, I know you're not following what I'm saying anyway, right? That's okay, that doesn't matter. The real question is this: was all this legal? Absolutely fucking not.
This is the part that I think got me in trouble. So for this part, I'm going to be showing you my SR-71 Blackbird. It is a high-speed reconnaissance aircraft that was developed in the 60s.
A single-shot pistol chambered in 380 ACP made almost entirely out of plastic, and it can be 3D printed on a printer at home. No serial number, no background check, just a blueprint you could download and a printer that costs less than a MacBook. The media freaked out. Gun control advocates called it a threat to national security. The State Department demanded the files be taken down, but not before they'd already been downloaded over 100,000 times. And while it's crude, single shot, and probably a major hazard to fire, that wasn't the point. The point was proof of concept, that a gun could be made with no oversight, no regulation, and no way for the government or anyone else to stop it. In 1988, Congress passed a law that most people have never heard of, the Undetectable Firearms Act, and it makes it a federal crime to own, make, or transfer any firearm that can't be detected by a standard airport metal detector or X-ray machine. The fear at the time was that terrorists could easily sneak so-called plastic guns through airport security undetected. As most politicians do when they feel personally threatened, they acted fast, and Congress passed a law that requires all firearms, even homemade, to include at least 3.7 ounces of detectable metal. That's about the weight of a bar of soap. That's why the Liberator design includes a slot for a chunk of steel. It's not for recoil, it's not for funsies, it's in there so that you can comply with federal law. Here's where things start to get fuzzy. Now when it comes to federal law and state law, things don't always line up. Let's take Colorado, for example, because that's where I live. Right now, it's still legal to make your own firearm at home, as long as it's for personal use and not something restricted under the NFA, like a machine gun or short-barreled rifle. But, and this is where people get burned, the moment you try to sell it, transfer it, or even give it away, that's a different story. Under a federal law, any homemade firearm that's transferred to someone else has to be serialized and go through a licensed dealer, even if it's just a gift to a friend. And don't forget, even if you're keeping it for yourself, if the gun doesn't include at least 3.7 ounces of metal, you're probably looking at some federal firearms charges because of the 1988 Undetectable Firearms Act. It doesn't matter if it fires one shot, falls apart in your hand, or you printed it in your garage. If it can't be seen by airport-style scanners and doesn't have the required amount of detectable metal, the law treats it like a weapon designed to be able to be snuck past security, and you will get spit roasted by federal agencies you have never even heard of. At the end of the day, this isn't about whether you can print a gun or buy one. It's about whether or not the laws that are written actually make sense for the world that we live in for today. This is a world where you can download an STL file, encrypt it, put it on a thumb drive, and share it with an unlimited amount of people where no one, not even the government, can stop you. And yet, instead of focusing on criminals or violent offenders, the government keeps tightening the screws on law-abiding people who bother asking the question of whether or not something's legal and get punished for it. This little chunk of steel we talked about, it's not stopping a single bad actor. All it is complying with an obscure federal law from the 80s that's designed to stop criminals somehow. This is why the Second Amendment matters, because every time technology shifts, the people in power scramble to ban what they do not understand in order to protect themselves and punish law-abiding citizens. Advancements in 3D printing are changing the conversation around firearms and their legality. Whether the government likes it or not, you can't stop the signal. It's out there, and it's been out there for over a decade. All right, that's actually it for this one. This is my first YouTube video, probably my last. I don't really know. I just wanted to make a video on a topic that I found kind of interesting. I'm pretty familiar with firearms myself. I only recently started getting into the 3D printing aspect and researching some of the laws, and this law involving this, seemingly innocent piece of steel was very interesting to me. And so I thought I would make this video, and maybe some other people would find it interesting as well. I think it's good to stay educated, particularly on firearms, particularly on our rights. If you're not educated, it's pretty easy to take them away from people. If you've got questions about the gun world, the gun industry, myself, leave them in the comments below, and I'll do my best to answer them. Again, I just appreciate your time and your attention. I know that it's very precious these days.